Good morning, everyone. So it's Friday. Can you believe that, Ada? It's Friday.
No, what I cannot believe is being next to Max Captain
No,
Coconut from
calm
the
down.
Georgia.
Calm down. He's not a rock
Georgia.
star yet. Anyway,
He is.
g'day everybody. We're live again on the MDL Ocean Village here in Southampton. It's only a couple of days away from the start, which is crazy. And we've got super special guests, and I keep forgetting your name. What was your name again?
Jeremy Bagshaw.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, we're Captain Coconut and Cam from Explorer, and yes, declare vested interest. He's sailing Jane and our boat around the world. I don't know why I'm letting him, but I do know why, because he's really good. Anyway, more on that in a minute. Hello, Ada.
Hello, good morning.
It's all very exciting, eh? That was a cool party last night.
But as to the boys, they were there. I was working, so I missed the food, I missed the party. But I think it was a great moment, isn't it?
Yeah, we had an outrageous crew party on board the steamship Shield Hall, which is biggest commercially operating or working steamship run by volunteers here, and it was a crazy crew party. It was no families allowed, just the crew, and stand by for the photo gallery. But they've been censored, so what you'll see is completely legitimate. There's a couple of videos as well that'll get up today, but that was good. Anyway, we're here to talk with Mark on Explorer and bits and pieces. Shall I go first?
Don't do what you
Good.
want.
Okay. I've got to go. So, Mark, you've got an illustrious career in the Royal Australian Navy. You're a commander. You've been a survey captain. You've commanded ships, all that sort of stuff. But more importantly, you did the GGR in 2018, and you took on the mantle of being Captain Coconut because your orange boat was called Coconut. You went again in 2022. And that sort of called short, and then all of a sudden I decided to get a boat, and I said, "Hey Mark, you want to skipper it?" And you said,
Affirmative.
"Yeah, exactly." It was a match made in heaven, because Explorer is an interesting entry. It's a SWAN 55,
57.
57. Sorry. Oh, geez, I've got a lot of things in my head.
Do you still remember it is your boat? You are the owner?
I'm just setting the scene a bit here. So I really wanted someone that I knew would look after the boat. As an organizer of the event, we want to make sure everyone comes home, and we want to make sure everyone has fun. And that was the mantle of Captain Coconut. Now, as to the racing aspect, I don't care. Tell us quickly about how many days it took you to sail solo around the world in the GGR. This stand by.
Okay, so it was 154 days from La Sabla to Adelaide. I had a short stop, and then it was 174 days from Adelaide back to La Sabla. So a total of 332 days, which I think goes down as one of the slowest or the most slowest circumnavigations. Because of my 3 years stop in Adelaide, I think Yachting Monthly or someone described it as the 1,422-day circumnavigation. But Joshua Slocum took 4 or 5 years, so what the heck?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you've basically, I got the boat and I presented it to you. I've never been sailing on the boat. You've been.
That's right.
Yeah, that'll be later. I don't want to get. You've been doing everything. How's it been going? Like, what's been the in a minute explanation? What's been the biggest challenges for the boat to get here?
Well, we picked up the boat in Breskins after it had been purchased, and obviously on purchase there were some surveys, and so there was some rectification work following those surveys, and some preparation work for the race. So the gudgeons were replaced in the rudder, and we re-rigged it and built new bunks and a few things like that. So I arrived with Marco in Breskins in sort of April, May-ish, and the boat was out of the water on the hard, no mast, workmen all over it, and so we had to grab hold of it, take possession of it, get it in the water, get it rigged, get a scratch crew, sail it down to La Sabla, and then the crew have been joining progressively, and the crew have basically been doing all the work, the preparation. So we've been preparing in La Sabla for 3 or 4 months, and then we also went out for a 1,500-mile pre-qual, and we had to then sail up here. So we've been really flat out. I've been on the boat. Well, I've been living ashore, but I've been basically on the boat every day, since sort of like April, May. But we're there. If we haven't got our green card, we've got our green card in spirit. We've ticked all the boxes, so we are there. And now we're frantically packing and tidying and just doing those last minute things. So we'll be full up until departure.
Mark, during this time, because we were feeling sorry the other day with Triana, because Jeanne d'Arc, who have more money and more experienced crew than you and more stuff to prepare the boat, have to assemble and to put everything ready for the start in only 6 months. It is the same for you, actually.
Yeah.
You jump into the boat, you found the crew, you did all this job. What was the most difficult for you as a skipper during these 6 months of preparation?
Well, Don did a lot of the heavy lifting on the crew. So basically, Don did all the finding the crew and sorting through all the applications and presenting, if you like.
Yes, but Mark, after that, Don was in the office. You have to deal with the crew.
Well, that's right.
That's the fun bit. It's like, Mark, here comes another one. He sort them out.
Don catches the fish. I clean the fish.
But hang on, there's no showers down below. It's only in the cockpit. Actually, I'll pipe in there because we are a contributing crew situation. So all of the crew are paying a pretty solid amount of money to make it happen. The deal was I provide the boat, the crew provide a lot of the work and fund all of those modifications and bits and pieces. So I make it very clear to the crew from the very beginning that this is now your campaign. It's not as if we're a professional team and we're just doing it. And they're certainly not pay to play, like passengers on board. They're all doing a hell of a job. And so they're the ones that are actually, duly able to be proud of what's going on with the boat, because from an outsider looking in, Explorer's looking pretty good at the moment. In physically and emotionally with all the crew,
certainly everyone's highly invested, and it's sort of almost a blend between, like you look at guys like Outlaw, where everyone, like, they've contributed money and whatever, It's very, very similar. Yeah. You've just facilitated it, really.
Yeah.
But everyone's done all the work, and sometimes it's been hard, sometimes it's been frustrating. But I'll tell you what, we know the boat really well because we have basically done everything ourselves. Now, there has been some professional assistance from time to time. Stefan came up and helped with the electrical, helped Pete with the electrical and whatever. But if we haven't done it, we've been intimately involved in doing it. So we sort of know the boat pretty well. Having said that, you still learn things every day. And, we just had the thing the other day with things coming up. Oh, what was the latest thing? There was some. I'm not allowed to talk about the shower clock, but anyway, let's say
the what? But you'd have to talk about it now. No. You have to talk about it now with the shower cloth.
Yeah. So
what's the shower cloth? No. Stop. What's the shower cloth?
And the clock.
Okay. So we're not allowed to have a cockpit clock. So we've got a shower clock. And the shower clock sits there so the watch on deck can actually do the time or whatever. Yeah. But the shower clock's got a shower alarm. And if you bump it inadvertently, after 10 minutes going, everyone's going, what's that alarm? What's that alarm? We're all running in circles. It's a shower alarm.
My biggest problem was giving Mark a boat credit card. Right? Because all that happens with us is we see the bills coming in. And now there's a shower clock. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 15 euros.
I'm so done. It is a lot of fun in that boat. A lot more than for you in front of your computer. I think this is part of why people are here.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
But I have a question for you, Cam. Yes. You are 25, 24, 23. I got it. You are from South Africa. Okay. You are the youngest on board. Why did you want to join this adventure? And Don will explain us later what is the program with the young.
He was the only one that applied.
Yes, but why you applied then?
I've been sailing since I was a kid, and when I saw the race, and they were getting my old skip from one of my previous transfers, he mentioned that there's this race going on, and I was like, well, I'm in a bit of a sticky situation, so I was like, life's a bit short, so I didn't think I'd actually get it, but in the end, I applied. Late at night, I found my girlfriend. The next morning, I said, well, I applied, and Don took me in, and I've always wanted to go around the globe, always wanted to circumnavigate, and this is the best way to do it. I don't think I'd be able to do what Mark has done and gone around by himself. I don't think I'd be able to do GGR. So this is the next best thing. And yeah, super, super excited.
What are you doing at home?
I'm a jack of all trades. I don't just do one thing. I'm a photographer. I've done some work at the harbour port. I work at a brewery. I'm a tour guide. A little bit of everything.
Tour guide, not toy guide.
Tour guide, yes. Tour guide, sorry. I'm still waking up this morning from last night. It was a very, very good night at the SS Shield. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you were nearly so good we didn't pick you because we thought he doesn't need to go, but then we thought that's unfair. So yeah. So what's your what do you think will be your takeaway from being involved with Explorer?
My takeaway, sure. I think hopefully I still have my sanity at the end of it all. But I think the biggest takeaway is having Mark and Terry and learning about circumnavigation, learning how to use sextants and things like that is completely next level to me. I've learned a lot about the little finicky things on the boat. I learned how to, some glues are better for other things. And got our good friend Antonio here in the crowd, and he never fails to share something new every day, which is always special. So
Yeah.
a lot of little difficult things.
It always looks light and fluffy when we interview crews and stuff, and I've got to tell you that it's never like that. Okay, you'll see huge amount of human dynamic stories leading through the race. Nothing to do with the boats, nothing to do with performance on the course or safety. It's all about trying to keep the crew together to get them to the next port. Now, even to get this far, we've lost a couple of crew along the way that just got totally pissed off and couldn't cope and stuff. And I know for a fact that you've questioned your own situation and self-doubt from a lot of the crews. I would say, probably everyone at some stage or other, questions why they're there, why they've invested so much time and energy and so on. Do you want to give a take on what's happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'll say my own personal story. I mean, coming through, arriving in Port Alona, it was very difficult. I think the boat was everyone was very tense. And when you spend a lot of time on the boat and you're working on it, everyone is very driven. And I think being 23, I can definitely say as a youth crew is that it can be really difficult being young and being with older people, maybe more mature or maybe driven in different aspects. And I think Mark and them have been so welcoming and have been patient with me and all my energy. And some people, my chatterbox, I talk a lot, as you might know.
Because I was on the way to see. I heard that he was speaking a lot on board, and we can see it this morning. That thing.
Yeah, so I love to chat. I love to, and I can definitely say there was a time. Don being my sponsor, I even chatted to him. I was like, "This is hard work, and I love this. Is why I'm here." And I think when we get sailing, that's going to be when everything just flips. Right now, everyone's just got their heads in the bulges. Everyone's just busy getting down and dirty, and I think we're nearly there. So yeah.
Yeah. So watch that story. You'll see some crews get off the boat in Cape Town for sure. Probably the same in Auckland. Maybe not, because Auckland's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, it's a very interesting aspect of all this. What's your take on that, Mark? How do you keep them all together?
Maintaining an even strain. So Cameron is very enthusiastic into everything. Sometimes a little too much. Sometimes he can wear even me down.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and sometimes I have to say, not right now. But look, at the end of the day, Cameron's very resilient, and I think we and look, hey, I've said to Cameron, sometimes Skipper has a bad day too.
Yeah. Oh, I have them. Sheepish, I have them. No way. I'll walk on the top.
Tell us more about the best days of the Skipper. Because they all come here, they are ready to go. They say they are superheroes, and we are thinking they are. So you can still have bad days.
Well, as I said, I try and maintain an even strain. Equanimity is an important thing, So, the sun's going to come up tomorrow, and as Don says, it's just wind and water. Get on with it, and sometimes you can get too close to it. And you think, well, actually, what we're doing is pretty neat. So, calm down. What do we need to do next? The only thing you need to worry about is what you need to do next. So, just get on with it.
And what is your secret to calm down?
Don't speak to Cam.
I don't know, 65 years.
Actually, we didn't want to have this as a psychoanalysis in camp. I was thinking all the other crew as well, because I know there's still challenges on board. But, you know, one of the theories that I have is the more you talk about it, the more we all realise we're all human and we have those moments, and you can just sort of let it go over the top. Because I know sometimes, I forget what it was, it might have been the sleeping bag issue. I'd had a bad day in the office with the race, right? 3 or 4 things went wrong. And it just so happened I had to walk past Explorer to get to the office. And as I'm walking past, I said, I had the sleeping bags go, and he said, blow. I said, because I'd given written instructions, emails, the conversation, do it like this. And I walked past and it didn't quite go right. But we all got over it. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. Give it a
So,
Cam.
are you sleeping in sleeping bags at the end or not? Still not.
Well, we have sleeping bags. At the moment, though, it's a sensitive topic between our 2 Frenchies. I think some might say, this is it.
They're not here, it's okay. No, they're not here.
So, at the moment, we have sleeping bags. We still have to figure out whose is whose, colour and size, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it's the deal on sleeping bags. These are special ones, right? And in fact, I'll give them a plug. It's Cape Wild. Cape Wild sleeping bags. They build dedicated sleeping bags for sailors at sea, and they're fantastic. You know, they're sort of Gore-Tex covers. They've got fibre pole liners, and if it's really cold, you leave 3 in. If it's medium, you take 1 out, you got 2. If it's hot, you take 2 out, and you got 1. You know, and they're really well made. A lot of the pros use them, things like that. The problem is they've got too many choices. You've got choice of colour, you've got choice of length, you've got choice of model, and trying to keep track of who wants what, where, when. I think we've been back and forth 3 or 4 times, and I just said, you guys sort it.
They're like treasure gold at the moment. They're in the treasure chest on Terry's bed. It's like a no-go zone.
Yeah.
Mark, what's your mind quality? What's your mind quality? Is that
Mind quality,
principal
your
quality in life? We try to
Your
because
philosophy.
we have a lot of jobs, but at the end we still don't know so much who you are, who the human behind the skippers that we all know in the GTR are. So your mind quality.
I'm a guy trying to get through life.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. That's what you told all the girls last night. You know, Jesus. I got to say, we've got an amazing crew. We come back to the crew all the time. We've got 2 doctors on board. One of them's a psych doctor. So I'm looking forward to reading her blogs as she sails around the world, around Cape Horn. It's going to be quite fantastic.
It's like an episode of Faulty Towers.
Absolutely.
Really. And, I'm Basil Foley. Certainly,
Yeah.
I feel like it.
And on top of that, we've got a really amazing emergency doctor on board, Patrick. And and the bad news about that is we've now got about 3 extra huge bags of medical equipment on board. So
That's
anyway.
it. So when we did the safety inspection, they go, "Where's your 2 medical bags?" And Patrick goes, "No, 3." Go.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good mix. Cam, give us your impression on the other members of the crew. None of them's going to see this.
None of them's going to see this. Whoa, that sounds dangerous.
Really quick impressions of the crew.
Everyone's pretty great. Our Frenchies are beautiful. They love I'm going to say that, very nice suit. Catherine's an amazing cook. She's been great, and she's a solid rock for us.
Does she know we refer to her as a cook?
We don't.
No, she threw a hat in the ring, eh?
Yeah, it's just she threw a hat.
No. She has thrown a hat in the ring at certain times, but we all cook.
Yeah.
And Catherine supervises the cooking, and Catherine and Jill collectively have done the provisioning. But we don't want any cook grabbing any food at any time.
Yeah.
So there's the management issue. But no, Catherine's not doing all the cooking.
Yeah.
Having said that, she's one of the best cooks. But actually, Patrick, the emergency physician, is really good. The problem is he's French, and there are always 3 courses. And so just after breakfast, he's preparing for lunch. Patrick, we actually have to do our day work as well.
Okay.
I think it's cultural because a lot of the French crew told us how important it was for them, for the psychological part of the crew and the practice of the crew, to have lunch together, screen together. We are Australian, and
Don,
how many times you eat in the day in Australia?
well, it's not breakfast, lunch, dinner, but I know that Don does sometimes get a bit grumpy that we do spend we host people for our lunches and whatever. And he's going, there's no work getting done, and all the GGR guys are down there. You know, Simon Kerwin, Jeremy, Ian's there, Rob Foreman. You know, but we collect all these people, and it becomes it's an investment. It's an investment.
Maybe they came because you were the first to come from the GGR, then the GGR is getting into the OGR.
Well, it does seem to be a reverse.
I hope Jeremy will be on the photo seat because I saw him in something.
I think he's given up now. He's going to fly home. But there's another GGR skipper in the race. Ian Herbert Jones. This is breaking news. Ian Herbert Jones has signed up with Spirit of Helsinki. So we've now got Ian Herbert Jones. We've got Mark. We've got Simon, navigator on Translated. We've got Philippe Pesh on from 2018 on Penduic. Missed someone. Who was it? Tapio, of course. You know, so we've got 5 GGR skippers, and Jeremy was trying to get on, but he's too short. Joke.
Yeah. Jeremy, it's a beautiful person, and I hope to meet him again somewhere in one of the races around the world.
All right.
Because you can go to watch my interview on YouTube with him. I think we didn't stop to speak about Jeremy Bagshaw, and I'm very curious to see what's his next project.
Yeah.
What's the question I didn't ask to you, and you would like us to ask to you, Mark?
What question did she not ask? That she wants to say?
Thank you for the translation.
What answer would you like to give to any question or to a particular?
Yes, I will join you for lunch, Aida.
Oh boy. Are you a drinking nut or are you an eating coconut? You know, they have a coconut that you eat, you know, it's like the copper inside, and then there's a drinking nut which is green and you knock the top and drink it. How would you do?
Well, we do both.
Oh, okay.
No,
it's age. It's an age thing.
Yeah.
So you must be an eating nut. Okay.
At our lunches in La Sabre, for the third course, we quite often had mango.
Okay, that's good. All right. What about watch systems? What system are you going to use?
Right. Okay. So we've tried both. We've tried 1 in 3 and 1 in 2, and at the moment we are going to have 1 in 3. So we're going to have 3 people in each watch, 4 on, 8 off, and so you've got the on watch, the off watch, and the oncoming watch. So if the first person to summons me, so I'm out of the watch, so I will supplement to provide the 4th person. If we need beyond that, we call the oncoming watch, and so there's another 3. So we can have 6 or 7 people on deck, and we just run the normal watches, forenoon, afternoon. We split the dogs to rotate the watches. So there's 2 2-hour watches, first dog, last dog, and then the first, middle, and the morning watch. So rotate through that. I'm navigator as well, but I want to train people up that everyone's keen to participate in that. So we've done a lot of ad hoc training, but we'll have to get a bit more serious on that. And so we'll have some assistant navigators and that type of stuff too. We have tried 2-watch system. When we came up, we're in 2 watches. That provides more people with it. So the difference between the 2 is when you're in the 3-watch system, the oncoming watch do the cooking and the cleaning and that type of stuff. So that when you're on watch, whereas when you do a 2-watch system, the on watch actually has to do the cooking and the cleaning and the rest of it, but they've got more people to be able to manage all that. So look, at swings and roundabouts, I think the 3-watch system gives people a little more in the tank, that when you need to draw on people, they've got a bit more there. I tend that in the 2-watch system, there's a general higher level of fatigue. People just sleep all the time. When you're off watch, you're asleep. That's it.
That's cool. So Coconut was a great boat.
Yeah, a 1-watch system.
Yeah, exactly. But now you're on a SWAN 57, which is a really cool boat. And you've sailed a few miles. How would you describe the boat? You know, in the context of now having to take it all the way around the world.
Look, the thing that impresses me about the SWAN, very easy to handle, beautiful. In manoeuvring it and whatever, we've got a bow thruster there. Never use it. You get a bit of swing on that boat, and you can manoeuvre with the engine, and she's very sweet. When she's sailing, if the wind picks up and she starts to press, doesn't round up, keeps tracking along. So she's and I think the disposition of the main and the mizzen is just the balance is just fantastic, and she just keeps driving and driving and driving. So but I think we've got a lot to learn, and we'll get better and better and better as we go. Certainly we can sail her, but we've got to sail her, fast all the time. I love putting up the mizzen staysail, so you can have 5 sails up quite easily, and then it's all about getting those kites up and trying to move the boat along. But I mean, at the end of the day, we'll be conservative. It's you've got to finish to win, and not that we'll win, but we'll finish. So we're aiming to finish in a respectful time and as go as hard as we can. But we'll look after the boat, and look after ourselves.
Thank you. Anyway, okay. So, what is there something that you would have liked to have done to the boat that you haven't had time, or I didn't have the money?
I think just more time. But look, we're about to sail around the world. We've got plenty of time. It'd be nice to have spent a bit more time in the Solent practicing here, because the start's going to be obviously really interesting, and more time with the final crew, because we've had all the people have sailed on the boat in general, but at different times and whatever. We haven't had necessarily that 10 people all locked down. But look, we know each other pretty well, and I think that'll sort itself out. And it's sort of like when we did the 1500, when we sailed and when we came back, the crew was a completely different crew, and that was just in like a 10-day, 11-day period. So I think after the first week at sea, we'll be all solid and in the routine and be. I want to be there now, but look, you're never 100% ready.
Yeah.
And I think we're fundamentally ready, and I just like the wheels to be a little more oiled.
Yeah. What's Cam? What's your biggest fear about doing this leg of the race to Cape Town?
I think probably the sitting down. I think if we're going to be hitting doldrums and stuff for a week or 4 or 5 days, I think that's probably going to be the. Actually, I'll take that back, because Captain Coconut will let me swim then. Hopefully. Never mind. I'm not going to be swimming. I think my biggest fear is not getting time to have a little dip here and there, but I don't think that's going to happen at all. But otherwise, I'm pretty chuffed. I'm excited.
So what are you looking forward to most?
Oh, definitely the food. All the food is coming on. Yeah, the food is coming on yesterday, and it was looking so good. If you guys come around, you'll probably be able to see some of it still on deck, and it's ready. And then definitely, I think learning from Mark. I think that's probably high on my priority. He's already quizzing me every morning on literally anything you could possibly imagine. 7 o'clock, I'm waking up. If you hear him, busy with the water maker or with something in the harbour. I'm like, roll out. I land on the couch, and then he goes, "All right, what's this? What light is this and this?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Red over red.
Red over red. Pilot is dead.
Captain's dead.
Captain's dead. Sorry. Maybe we'll have a red over red on the way in."
And then, what is your biggest fear with Explorer and the OGR 2 days before the start?
OGR, it's always about bringing everyone home. In the first Whitbread, there was a few people that never returned. They were lost at sea. And that's our biggest concern. We have a big briefing this afternoon with all the crews and everything, and that's the one thing I'll be ramming home. And it's called the Red Haze. Even though I've never sailed on Explorer, I understand boats like that. And where the highest risk comes from, all the crews will have all their training and all their processes and all that sort of stuff to man over recovery. Everything's fine. Then all of a sudden they start driving the boat, and these boats are all very similar. A lot of them, they're sort of heavy displacement. They easily get up to hull speed. But to get them going a little, like another, say, 5 or 10% faster, you have to put in 50 or 60% more effort. And then you get huge loads, and it's hard to sense the load of the boat, with these heavier boats. You can't feel the boat sort of loading up just the sails, and all of a sudden one wave comes along and pushes the boat the wrong way. It can't react strong enough. Next minute you're on your side, there's crew up on the foredeck, and they're gone. Or they're over the side. They'll still hopefully be connected and things like that. That's the red haze, when you're pushing too fast, and we use that term in car rally racing. You just try too hard. Next minute you're in the grass or on a fence or something like that. So I've got to make sure, and we've done a lot of things in the race to slow the race down. To force them to go slow by having less sails and having to look after the sails and and lots of other little things. So the biggest fear as an organizer is losing something. For Explorer, the biggest fear, not finishing. Because if you're not finishing them, we'll all come back again and say, we've got to do it again. So we'll say, bugger off, I want to use the boat. so yeah, it's all about finishing. And so for Explorer, and I think everyone's got that mindset. If you don't finish it, you sort of, you haven't failed, because some boats won't finish. But it's all about having a go. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd be very happy the day we see Explorer finishing, crossing the finish line. Yeah. Mark, your biggest takeaway, your fear. I mean, what's your biggest fear?
I don't really have a fear in that regard. I think all we're aware of our risks and we mitigate accordingly, and we'll conduct ourselves in a seaman-like manner. So there's no fear. If you want to look at a fear, it would be losing someone. That's unacceptable. So keeping everyone safe. But it's not a fear as in,
You're worried about
there's
now.
so much mitigation that we have in place to manage that.
Yeah.
But the risk is always still there.
Yeah. Okay, one last question from me, and then maybe I want to do one last as well. But what are you most looking forward to from the race?
I think the parties in Auckland, South Africa, Punta,
Okay.
and coming back here.
Yeah. One last question, Aida.
No more questions, because I come from France, the equality country, and I think our time is up.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
up to you to decide if you want more or less.
Yeah, one more
questions.
question. One more question. You can ask me one more question. What sort of party does he want in Cape Town? What's the theme last night was the 70s. What sort of party should we have in Cape Town?
Beach party.
Well, actually, people were asking what the themes were and should they keep hold of their 70s garb. And we should have a Mexican theme, a Raymond Carlin theme. Everyone's got to come in a Mexican hat. And
That's a good idea.
Address, because they won the first race. I actually have pinched Rob's sombrero, and so I already got my Mexican costume arranged. So we should have a Mexican party.
I remember the best parties we ever had. I digress here. No one, just don't listen. Was you would invite everyone to the party. It's called a yard party, and in the invitation they got 1 square yard of material. That was the only thing you could wear. So people would make it into all sorts of things. Maybe we could do that in Auckland.
That's
yard party, Or give them a GGR.
But I'm afraid 1 meter skirt for you.
I think we should finish it right there.
Thank you very much. The last web TV will start in 15 minutes.
It
will
will be
20 with
minutes.
the French boat Neptune, and a very beautiful story also. Thank you very much, Mark and Cameron.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Adam.
See you in Cape Town with the Submarine.
Yeah.